The item on your table in the glass box is a bronze replica of the beautiful symbol we're giving, the coin that we've had struck especially for the evening, and that we'll be giving our guest of honor, Clancy, later on this evening. You're invited to take it with you, and you'll see the note that describes it on the back. This is really a pretty remarkable evening, and well, let me say it to you this way. Some of us may be a little distracted at our tables because we're kind of pinching ourselves, trying to make sure that this really is actually happening. A couple of years ago, we were at a board meeting at the Morton Center, and it'd be easier if I tell you it this way. How many of you are old enough to remember the Andy Hardy movies? Remember? There's a... Okay? Stay with me now. Go with me here. You're going to like this. God, I hope they do. There's a big crisis, and the door bursts open, and in comes Mickey Rooney saying, I know, my uncle has a barn, we'll put on a show and save the college. Right? That's kind of what happened. Ask Billy. It's almost exactly that way. In our case, our Judge Hardy was two people. Chairman of the board, Steve Galt, and President John Walsh. We're talking about being around for about 14, 15 years and watching miracles occur every day, and how we were one of the best kept secrets in this part of the world. And how do we tell people that we're here and what we're doing and share the message and get it out? And our Mickey Rooney was Gene Dealey. Gene says, you know, we need to take a note from what we're talking about. A basic tenet of recovery is when you've got a problem, what you do is get out of yourself. And then Jerry Eifert said something like, well, you know what we need to do is get out of ourselves and find somebody who's done something really terrific in recovery and do a dinner. And I think we met with Hank Wagner then, and Hank said, you've got a great idea, come on down. And his staff said, that's a good idea, let's come on down, you can have a dinner, and I'll host you right here in the Rudd Heart and Lung Center. There's not a prettier view in all of Louisville, right? And Clancy will love being on top of the world down here. Well, about that time, Bev Wagner, who's not related to Hank at all, said, we really ought to do a video. I'll underwrite it. Go ahead, do that. Jim Lindsay says, Bruce Skinner will do a great video. I got just the guy. Then Sharon Receiver said, I'll chair the committee. Jack Moss says, I'll sell the tickets. Jim again said he jumped up and found a famous local artist, Tom Wilson, you probably all know him, who would create a hand-wrought Morton medal from solid silver to give to the guy we chose. C.M. Newton said, I'll make a speech. Clancy said, I'll accept it. Here we are. Isn't that amazing? I love it when a plan comes together. It's just remarkable. I do want to invite Hank Wagner to come up and just to say a word or two as our official host for the evening. So will you please welcome the president of the board, actually the president and CEO of Jewish Hospital Healthcare, Hank Wagner.
Well, thank you so much, Wayne, and let me say on behalf of the Jewish Hospital Organization how pleased we are to be part of your special evening. We have admired the work of the Morton Center for a long, long time. You guys do a wonderful job, much needed in this community, and the little that Jewish Hospital can do this evening pales by comparison to the wonderful history you all have. I would like to acknowledge three members of my board who are with us tonight. First, the chairman of my board, Mr. Sonny Altman. Sonny, would you please stand? Luann Atlas. And Luann, are you still with us?
She's right there.
Wonderful. And Bill Receiver. We're flattered to be able to be part of your evening. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to get new friends into our campus and into the conference center that we've established here. I know you're going to have an important, meaningful evening. Wayne has been a buddy for a long, long time, and it was very, very easy to say, sure, we would love to help in any way we can. So thanks for asking us, Wayne.
Thank you, Hank. Thank you very much. It sure is exciting for us to partner with Hank. You know, he's one of the leaders and part of the team that's going to make this really a center for what's going to happen in the medical community over the next few years and what's going to put Louisville on the map as a real heart of all that activity and all the innovation and what's going to happen. It's going to be a really important part of our community. Let me introduce you to Sharon Receiver and our committee. Sharon, if you just stand, I won't introduce everybody, but all the other members of the committee who are in the house, would you all stand? And while you're still standing, let you see all the members of the committee put all this together. Come on, guys, don't be shy. And all the rest of the board of directors, would you all stand up? Members of the board of directors, would you stand? Thanks. Some of you in the House know the Morton Center intimately and very well. Some of you know a little bit about the work of the Morton Center, and some of you are going to find out a lot you didn't know, and maybe more than you ever wanted to before we leave here tonight. But I promise you this, you'll be glad you came, and you'll be glad that you know about it, because what we do know is, a friend of mine sent a clipping from the Chicago Tribune to me last week. And the Trib quoted a figure of something like 14 million Americans are alcoholics, and something like 2 million Americans are in recovery, which means that there's a long gap between those who really need to hear the message and those who've already found it. And what we also know is not everybody who comes into recovery stays in recovery. But what we hope to do at the Morton Center is give those who need us an opportunity to get a kickstart and get a good direction and a good, solid foundation so that they can turn their lives around and become responsible, contributing members of the community. That's our whole raison d'etre. In 1984, the Morton Center opened its doors as the region's only privately funded outpatient treatment center for chemically dependent people of all ages and incomes and their families, with our key emphasis on families. From the very beginning, the Morton Center has never turned anyone away because of inability to pay. Never happened. It was a commitment that John Walsh and Jane Norton Morton made to each other and to this community from the very beginning. We at that time opened doors in Louisville and in Lexington, and there's always been a statewide presence and a statewide commitment from the Morton Center. I discovered that board member Billy Simpson, John Walsh, and our guest speaker C.M. Newton played golf a couple of times together. And as I recall, the other member of the foursome, the first time was Jock Sutherland, and the second time was Bobby Knight. When I first heard the story, I thought, holy smoke, a 12-step recovery program for basketball junkies in Kentucky and Indiana. Are we going to be on the map or what? It's going to be a success, right? Well, I don't know. But let me introduce you to the guy who sat down with Jane Norton Morton the first time and talked about how to create the Morton way and how to make it happen. Our executive VP, or actually our CEO, John Walsh. Come up, John.
Thank you, Wayne. God, I hate this word, but this is absolutely awesome. I'm one of the ones that's sitting here pinching myself. My role is pretty simple tonight. We are so pleased. Wayne mentioned that we have produced a videotape. Anything that I would have said tonight is going to be shown to you in this videotape because it says it better than any of us could ever stand here by ourselves and say it. But I have to recognize three key people, and Wayne spoke of all of them, but I want to do just another sentence or two. There was a vision to this tape that Beverly Wagner brought to us some 5 or 6 years ago and said to us at that time, you know, we've got to do this. And whenever the time's right, I will be the one to take care of it. And that's all that was said. And this videotape is only due to her generosity and her very gentle persistence with us as a board to do the right thing and produce a tape. Jim Lindsay has had a similar vision the entire time that he's been on our board. He knew that when we were ready to put something together that we could really show what we do, that he could take it and help create it. Because see, for years we struggled. How do we show what we do? Other people can show what they do very well. It's very difficult for us to do that. But Lindsey had it in his mind the entire time. The third person is Bruce Skinner, who is the producer of the tape. Now, Lindsey and Skinner, many years ago, worked together for many years at Bill Anderson. But I doubt seriously that in the middle 80s or the late 80s, whenever they were sitting there drinking coffee out of those humongous cups that those ad guys use, did they ever dream that they would collaborate on the Morton Center Way? And I would just like to ask that you understand this great sensitivity that Bruce put into this tape, because it's really important. It was really important to us that when we were shown on video, that it came across with dignity and respect and sensitivity. You did an awesome job. I would please like to ask those three people, Beverly, Jim Lindsey, and Bruce Skinner, to stand up, because we need to applaud them. And now, our video.
Something just...
Bruce, you really did a good job, and we're very grateful. Thank you very much. It's wonderful when you see a family story, and then you get to see somebody, a living example, standing before you. Here I am, an out-of-work disc jockey. On the back of the program, you'll see a thumbnail sketch of the two speakers we're going to hear tonight. C.M. Newton is one of my personal heroes, who has been a friend of the Morton Center for a good long while, and we're very grateful to have his friendship. He means a lot to us, and has been a lot to us through the years. He's the man that Bobby Knight once called the finest gentleman in athletics, and I certainly agree with that. But I want to tell you that my story. I first came to know CM vicariously through the eyes of Jock Sutherland. Jock and I spent a lot of time together on U of L basketball trips, and you know, you'd always play basketball, so we're doing dinner and things together, and he would tell stories about scouting for Adolph Rupp and how he went to be a coach with CM when CM was invited by Bear Bryant to come to Alabama and actually build a basketball program. I heard about CM's adventures and came to admire him when he went to Vanderbilt to rebuild a program that at one time had enjoyed some stature and had an All-American or two. But as they say in the recovery program, when the University of Kentucky athletics hit its bottom, CM was the guy that they called home to rescue his alma mater. Coach Newton found Rick Pitino, he restored integrity and trust, and we all know the rest of the story. CM's quite likely the most respected man in college athletics, but I got to know CM the man during the final season of Bill Curry's tenure as head football coach at the University of Kentucky. Curry was on with me every Monday morning, and we became friends. And as all of us are with friends, I was very protective and defensive about him because I knew Bill Curry was a solid gentleman who tried to build men and good citizens when they left his program. So I really hated to see the things that were going on with him. And what I watched was a wonderful demonstration of friendship and loyalty as the season kind of drew to a rather painful end. I rode with the Kentucky team down to Knoxville for their final game of the season at the University of Tennessee. And in the locker room and on the sideline there at Neyland Stadium, and then waiting for the buses after, with CM waiting for the team to finish and Curry to come out, I was able to see firsthand how CM Newton's support of his coach and his friend never wavered. The two of them displayed great dignity under great pressure. It was quite a lesson for me. And I came to understand that Coach Newton really has his priorities in the right order. Coach, you are a personal hero, and you're a role model worthy for every one of us. And I welcome you here tonight. Coach C.M. Newton.
You could have kept going. You're kind of on a roll there. Been introduced a lot of different ways, but that was very meaningful, and I appreciate it. I'm here for two reasons. One, John asked me, and I'm appreciative of that. And the other is because of the strong belief and conviction that I hold for the recovery model inherent in the Morton Center. I'm what is known as an adult child of an alcoholic. That's in the more modern terminology that we find in the recovery model. I'm also the parent of an alcoholic. So going back a lot of years, had a lot of firsthand experience with this disease of alcoholism. This film, if it didn't touch everybody in here from a family standpoint, I'll guarantee you it touched everyone in here from the standpoint of a friend or an acquaintance. It touched everyone's life in that respect. But it brought up some real memories. I'm going to do something different tonight. We're here to honor Clancy, and I will tell you, I asked John, I said, you know, I really don't know a lot about this man. He's like a lot of great people. He kind of just does rather than people talk about. And I said, I need some information. John sent me some things, and I was just so impressed with a man who is very successful in his profession, leaves that profession to really take on a different mission and make a difference in the lives of people. And that's the person that we honor tonight. That's what this is about. But as I've sat and visited and listened, and I find out he was a sports writer. He fancied himself as an athlete. Certainly the genuineness of the man just comes through. So I'd prepared some other things, but I'm going to do a little something. I'm going to talk a little bit about me, as I find out Clancy and I we're within 2 years of each other. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you who's the oldest. It's him. We're going to get that out of the way. He's 2 years older than I am. But as I thought about that, and then to meet Mary, which is in itself a delight, and they're talking about doing a book, it just reminded me that the two things that I said I would never do, one was to have a retirement function, and we're getting ready to have one May 12th in Rupp Arena, so that's the other I said I'd never do. The thing I said I'd never do is write a book. And it's being printed right now. It's going to come out the first week of March. It's entitled, and the grandchildren actually came up with the title of it, Newton's Laws. Madison, our 13-year-old, was taking and studying about Sir Isaac Newton in school, so that was her idea. And it's the story of C.M. Newton. Let me just tell you, and Clancy, I know you're going to go through this. The writing of this book has been one of the most meaningful things that I have ever done. Billy Reed actually did the writing. And Billy was a student of mine at Transylvania. We got great respect for him. I wanted someone who was of my vintage, who knew what was really taking place when we integrated the Alabama athletic program in 1968. To give it some historical perspective, I didn't want some guy who read about that and has a whole distorted view of what racism was at that particular time in our history. And Billy did a wonderful job of making me examine me and come out and be honest about it. He knew me well enough to force that. And John, I will tell you, and I've said this to you privately, I will say it publicly, the counseling that you have given to me and my family has been of such great benefit. This may be, next to that, the most significant therapy that I've experienced. To go back and examine, starting as a youngster growing up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and all the way through, to examine what you did, and then more importantly, why you did some of the things. It's been a wonderful experience for me. It's really put a lot of things in perspective. There are two common themes. Well, it's really what it did. It forced me, as Clancy as it's forcing you, I'm sure, to examine your beliefs, to be honest about your feelings in a way that, and issues, frankly. Why you took certain positions on the issue. Why would you leave a lucrative profession to go to Midnight Mission? You're gonna come up with a lot of different reasons. Two common themes, and this is, I think, applicable to the person we're honoring. Two common themes came through this book. First, a willingness to risk. As I evaluated my life, I think you have to be a risk taker. You have to be willing to risk failure to experience success. And, we're honoring a man tonight who took that risk. What greater risk can you take than to change professions and to go into a mission setting the way this man did. My risks, and I question this in the book, whether many of them are illusionary or whether they're real. And I think you'll do the same thing. Was it a real risk, for example, to integrate the Alabama program when I did? Now, to give you a historical perspective, that was 5 years after George Wallace stood in the schoolhouse door. And I go in there as a no-name coach from Transylvania College and take Jock with me, and we signed Wendell Hudson as the first black in any sport there. Was that a real risk? Was that a courageous act? Was it a real risk for us, Evelyn and I, to take on, along with Billy Simpson, who helped Anna Karabanova, who was a little Russian gal that I met in St. Petersburg, who wanted to come to this country and study, and was it a risk for us to kind of help that to happen? Was that a courageous move? I will tell you, was it a risk to hire Tubby Smith? Was it a risk to hire a Division II football coach? I don't know. Maybe those are illusionary things, but I do know this: the courage part of it was not from the risk taker. The courage part is from the other side. Wendell Hudson was the courageous person in that. Anna was the courageous person at 16 to leave her family and come to this country and study. The courage always comes not from the risk taker, in my opinion. And it helped me examine that, which has been a really important thing for me. The other theme that seems to run through this is that you got to try to be a difference maker. If you haven't been a difference maker when you finish whatever you're doing, and I will tell you up front, ultimately we're all in the people business. I happen to use the vehicle of a ball and a bat and a field, but people are what are involved in intercollegiate athletics, not the game. I can look at Bill Samuel, John Anston, you folks who are in different professions. You're all in the people business, and your success or failure is going to be dependent on those types of relationships within the people that you work with. And I really think, and this has come throughout as I've looked back over 70 years, although not the full 70, but at least 50 years as a professional. As I look back, the thing that just keeps coming out is that you've got to try to make a difference. But here's the thing that was so apparent to me, and some of our players and others have helped me understand this in this process. And that is, be a difference maker within whatever sphere of influence we have. Normally, when we think of being a difference maker, it's not to help one Russian girl come to this country and study, but it'd be to help all the Russian people. That's what we want to do. We want to do that on that grand scale. And we can be a difference maker as a parent, just with a simple hug, pat on the fanny to a player when he needs it, or she needs it. No, not she needs it. Exactly. He needs it. Pat on the back when she needs it. Whatever sphere of influence that we have, and here again, as I look at what Clancy's done, this has been his mark. He has exerted a tremendous influence, certainly within Midnight Mission. But don't tell me that hasn't just spread to many, many other places. Yeah, I'm going to close with doing one other thing. That this is a little bit of what I'd planned to do now, Fancy. It occurred to me as I looked at and thought about this man. And you know, my background's athletics, and I don't try to get into what you folks do. You know, I think I have a pretty good understanding of coaching and of athletics, but I don't know a whole lot about the stock business or about the law or all these other things. So I'm going to talk about Clancy from my frame of reference, and if you can transfer it, that's fine. But what this man is, the best way I can describe him is a winner. He is a winner. And that's an athletic term. That doesn't have anything to do with anything else other than athletics when you think about it. But if you consider it in a broader context, we're talking about achieving success. He has been successful, but he is a winner. And I want to just quickly talk about winning a little bit and relate it to what Clancy has done. There are 4 beliefs that I've held from the early years that I coached about winning. And the first is that winning is never the result of an accident. It's never accidental. It just doesn't happen. For winning to take place, you have to make it happen. And that probably involves about 3 steps. And I think, again, I don't know, but I'm guessing that those 3 steps have been a big part of what he's about. And that is, first of all, to determine what it is you want to achieve, to establish goals. I would guess when Clancy went to Midnight Mission, he had some very definite goals in mind. And I would guess that those goals shifted over the years. But the first thing we have to do is to establish goals. The second is to rather systematically and intelligently devise a plan to achieve the goals. And my guess is that he's been a good planner. You don't do what he's done with a program without being a good planner. You know, my experience has been most of us are pretty good goal setters, and most of us are pretty good planners. But when we win, we go that third step of the process, and that's the daily implementation of the plan. And John, that's what you do so well. That's what the Morton Center does. On a daily basis, it implements not only the goals of this organization, but the plan. So this, I think, is the start. The other belief is that winning is contagious. We all hear about success breeds success. You can't sit with this guy for 2 minutes without that contagious caring and concern showing. Winning is contagious, and it is contagious and has been contagious in his life. And the third belief is a negative statement that it's easy to be average. It's kind of easy to be ordinary. But if you're going to win, you're going to have to do the extras. And I sense in everything I know about Clancy that he has consistently been willing to do the extras. And then last, and this I think gets right at the heart of what I said earlier about being in the people business. If you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people. Another way of saying that, and I heard him say this in several different ways, what we have been able to achieve, what we have put together, he has obviously surrounded himself with successful people. He tells me now that I'm just kind of, I'm not on the front line, I think was the way he put it, but I've got some awfully good people that are. So we're here tonight to honor and to salute a winner. And Clancy, I would just close by thanking what you for what you've done, for being a winner. And I think the challenge that I would give to all of us is let's all try to be winners in all that we do. John, thanks for asking me to share this.
Thanks, E.M. Thanks for sharing part of yourself. We're very, very grateful. Thank you. It's time to introduce you to the man who's come all the way from California to meet us. Now, in the recovery field, anonymity is a basic tenet. Anonymity is sacred. There you hear things like, what you see here, leave here, whom you see here, leave here. It's just the way it works. So when we begin to look around for someone who's had a real impact in recovery, it's difficult to begin to, because nobody talks about it outside rooms. And yet, the other side of that is, how many people do you know in your life, in the world, whom you identify immediately by one name? Marilyn? Michael? But wait a minute, is that Jordan or Jackson? How about Jaja? Okay, that's two, I give you. Or Clancy. Well, now in the recovery field, if you say Clancy, Clancy from California, immediately the folks who are in recovery know exactly who you're talking about. And that's the guy of all the people in America who are making a real impact in the field today. We said, would you please come to Louisville and let us honor you with a dinner? Clancy Emerslin, Managing Director of the Midnight Mission, spent most of his adult life in the colorful field, as CM said, of advertising, public relations, had a rather checkered career, worked in assignments ranging from putting words into the mouth of Elsie the cow to the frantic world of Hollywood radio and television. However, 25 years ago, nearly 26, Clancy took his most unusual career step when he resigned his post as marketing director for a Beverly Hills publishing firm to become the director of the Midnight Mission of the heart of the Los Angeles Skid Row area. For over 25 years, Clancy has continued as supervisor of the facility under the direction of a 14-man board of directors made up of successful Los Angeles business people and professionals. University of Wisconsin at Eau Claire named him their Distinguished Alumnus of the Year in 1980 for his work at the mission, and the Reader's Digest ran a 6-page article on his move to Skid Row. Clancy's married and a father of 5 grown children, but 11 grandchildren now represent most of his excitement around the house. Lives with his wife of 51 years in what he describes as the conservative end of Venice. Millions all over the people have heard Clancy speak in person or on tape, and he has touched the lives of every single person who's ever heard him speak. I had a guy the other day say, you're going to honor Clancy. One thing I know about Clancy, you either love him or you hate him. But there's nobody indifferent to Clancy I. Let me give you Clancy Emerslin. Clancy, we'll present you with our award. Come on. To present our chairman of our board, Steve Galt, our CEO, John Walsh is over here, and founding director, Clay Morton, are going to join you on this side and hand you with us in a spectacular box, handmade with Morton Center logo on front and the silver emblem inside. Clay, you want to read the inscription on the back? Can you read it without your glasses? On the microphone, if you would. Yeah.
Lifetime achievement in the advancement of recovery.
Clancy Emerslin, it's yours. There you are. Hold on, one more photo op. Good. Get my best size? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Clancy.
Good evening. I'm profoundly touched to be here. Actually, I was a little jaded earlier, but it got to me finally. Don't look at your watch quite yet. I just started. Really makes me feel good in your first sentence, the MC's going. I really appreciate CM's kind remarks. I enjoyed the video. It's been a lovely evening for me. I've enjoyed meeting a lot of people, some old friends, some new friends. The video was tremendous. It really was a tremendous impact. Then CM's very kind words. He said that I fancy myself as an athlete. I didn't really fancy myself as an athlete. All I said was when I was in high school, my claim to fame was a man named Elroy Hirsch ran right over me 80 yards for a touchdown. And I've been committed to the Texas State Insane Asylum as a schizophrenic because I tried to commit suicide in one of my depressions. I've often thought about that. What a bad diagnosis that was. I'd like to go back and find that doctor. You think, he must be about 90 now. I can move him around pretty good, you know. You call me a dual personality, you ought to be ashamed. If I could have got my personalities down to 2, I'd have been all right. I mean, I used to hear people say, I think I need group therapy. Not me. I just go for a ride alone in my car. I've lost a lot of things, and I said to me a few times, if you could go back, someone asked me this in some place recently, go back in your life, what would you change? What would you change in your life? And you think about it, you know, I would not dare change a single thing, because it all was necessary to get me standing here tonight, safe and sane and sober. And I don't know, one pain missing might have been too little to do it. I might have wound up like the guys I've tried to deal with. I wish I were as wonderful a man as the medal and CM, and you would think I am still an emotional person. I still deal with things, as I sometimes say. I get up in the morning, I drive downtown. My car still wants to get off in Beverly Hills. I have to fight it back on. I want to go to my office where pretty girls in tight sweaters would say, here's your coffee, Mr. Immeslin. Anything else? I don't want to go down to Skid Row and see who died last night and who got stabbed and who smashed their head into the sidewalk in the convulsion. But on the other hand, when I go home at night, I feel a little more requited than I ever did going down those elevators in Skid Row in my shiny suit, snapping my fingers. And I still have emotions. I sometimes get in the freeway and I'm tired. I may have been somewhere in Palm Desert or someplace, drive half the night to get back from some goofy meeting. And I've been sober a long time. No one knows. I can hide my feelings from anybody. I'm fine. And I smile. But on the freeway, they know I'm tired. I can just see some little old lady up there saying, see the boy in the gray car? He's exhausted. I'm going to cut that son of a bitch off. But the thing that I've learned in my recovery is that I no longer have to chase these people. Well, at least chase them past my exit. A couple of years ago, I was coming off the Santa Monica Freeway to the Harbor Freeway, and a little girl cut me off, almost put me in an overpass. I almost died that morning. And I chased her past my exit. Of course, when you chase it and you're an A, you can't do anything. You just can get next to him and give him a ray. But I was going to help her and give her a ray, and I chased her halfway to Pasadena, I guess. And I started to give her a raise. And she's a little girl, 17 years old, long blonde hair, just a pretty little girl, probably just driving for the... I have a granddaughter at the same age. Looks the same. I think, what is wrong with me this morning? I'm going to give a ray to some little girl like that? I must be crazy. I smiled. And she went... All I'm trying to say is no matter how long you stay sober, they never let up. They never let up. But as I look back, I'm glad that I've been able to help some people, and I've been active in my home group. I was fortunate enough, I want to close with this, I'll say one thing, that I'm a strong believer of action. About 36 years ago, I wanted very much to be a secretary of an AA group. There was a big group called the Brentwood Group, and I knew someone on the board. I said, submit my name. I think I'm ready to make my move. And I saw them the next day. I said, did I get elected? They said, no, it died for lack of a second. So I realized there was no groundswell for me to become secretary. So this little Ohio Street building, there was an open night on Tuesdays. I'll start a meeting. I took 8 or 9 tattered followers, and I started this meeting called the Pacific Group, and wrote a little format, had a speaker come in. The next week we had 13 people. Next week we had about 18 people. I guess I offended people with my announcements because the next week we're back to 9. And just on. But after a year we had about 30 people, 35 people maybe come regularly. And I thought, after a year you could have an election, but that would really be unfair to these people. They need guidance, and someone less experienced than I probably would not carry them as well. So I'll just sacrifice myself. I won't have an election. I just heck with it. And so we've got another year. We've got about 55 or 60 people coming now. And 2 years, the anniversary, with that anniversary, I'm thinking, well, it'd be we could have the election, but God, they're just like an emerging African country. I could destroy them by giving them power, and I should take care of them. So about a month after that, I was sitting in the kitchen one night. I didn't like the speaker I'd chosen. And some boob came in. Are we ever going to have an election in this group? And I was offended. I'd saved this man's life just the previous year. I said, what? My God, we're growing, is it a good group? He said, no, that's not it at all, Clancy. Don't be mad. He said, but other people say, don't you ever have an election in that group? If we had an election, we could vote you in, and then nobody could dare say a word. Good idea, Jimmy. So I had the election a couple weeks later, and they swept me out of office. I didn't care. And to show what a good grounding I had made of that group, even after I left, the group really took off. And now it's the largest group in the world, 10 or 1,100 people. Some of you have been there, West LA. People come all over the world to see it. And I sit there every week. I was there Wednesday night. I'm not the secretary. I don't care. But I'm the founder. And I give little signals. Nobody pays any attention, but it makes me feel good. At the end of the meeting, I stand in the back, and I try to look like a founder. People will bring their new people. They say, this is Clancy. He founded this group. He travels all over the world in airplanes on weekends to talk to people. And he's been sober many, many years. Hey, look, I try to look like a guy should. Hello there. Welcome to our meeting. I hope you brought your problems tonight. Many folks leave them here. Sometimes diabetics go into comas. It's just once in a while, some dummy will come up who doesn't know who I am. And say, hey, buddy, can you give me a ride back over to the VA psycho ward? And the nice thing about the program is that you can think whatever you want. That's what we always got to communicate to people. I can look him right into his beady little sick eyes. Think, what? Give you a ride back to the VA psycho ward? No wonder you're in the psycho ward. This room has got 1,100 people in it, all of them needing action. One who has given all year after year after year. I'm not just some guy standing in the back looking good. I'm Clancy I from up in the sky. Why don't you get somebody else to do it? Now you can think that as long as you say, okay. And the miracle of AA is after you drop this boob off of the VA psycho ward, your head says, oh, Clancy, is there no end to your goodness? And that's what we've got to remember when we're working with other people. We don't really much care how they think. get to take the actions that have been laid out for us by people much better than us. And they work almost inexorably. And they will come to learn eventually they suffer from a disease called alcoholism that manifests itself by a need to drink because of the intolerability of sobriety. And we can change that sobriety. And little by little, some people will never accept it. A great many people will. At the Morton Center, the Midnight Mission, at meetings throughout the world. And when that day comes, we'll all have a requitement that is not given to many people. I once again want to thank you very much for the kindness in presenting this medal to me. I'm not sure that I deserve it as much as you think I do, but I'll take it anyway.